The first invaders, merchants from Tsur and Sidon, came to the Maghreb countries, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, about 3,000 years ago. They were followed by Jews from the land of Israel, who settled in remote rural areas and urban centers, from the Libyan desert to the Atlantic coast. The Jews lived with the local Berbers and were influenced by the African rhythm of their music. There were entire Berber tribes that converted to Judaism. The Berbers fought fiercely against the Arab invaders who conquered the Maghreb about 1,300 years ago. Although defeated in battle, the Berbers preserve their language and musical traditions to this day. Songs were handed down orally from one generation to the next. They were not notated, and so many have been forgotten. The Jews, too, learned the Berber songs, but few are remembered today. The Berber language is a spoken language only, with no written script.
الله يعاون انا بوزايات القايد اجديك مساء الخير ويلي كله تقدوني تلانا اجديك مساء الخير يطيل وظن توجدتو الصلب لاجديك مساء الخير زيغايتو مارقدك كان في ماون اجديك مساء الخير
That means good evening, flower. Welcome. You are coming to visit me. I welcome you happily with all my heart.
The banishment of Spanish Jewry at the end of the 15th century, culminating in the expulsion of 1492, brought tens of thousands of Jews to Morocco. Bonds between Moroccan Jewry and the Jews of Spain flourished for centuries prior to the expulsion. These close ties are reflected in works of Jewish law, in the philosophy of Maimonides, in the grammatical precision of Hebrew poetry, and in Andalusian music.
עיר המהוללה ירושלים עיר המהוללה
From the moment he opens his eyes, from the moment he starts school, every Jewish child has already internalized a yearning and love for Jerusalem.
I was 3 or 4 years old. Now I'm 82. I remember that every Shabbat Papa would say, "Next year in Jerusalem," and drink a glass of wine. Next year in Jerusalem.
Even if they lived there for 2,000 years, it was still foreign soil to the Jews. There was a sense of uncertainty in the diaspora, as expressed in Jewish yearnings, because exile is punishment, for which one may only atone in Jerusalem. The messianism they were raised on was in the air, not only in the synagogue, but in every hymn and song. There is no song that does not mention Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is not only the symbol of renewed independence, but above all a symbol of atonement for God's chastisement of the Jewish people.
Hymns, prayers, and songs of messianic longing were composed, as well as hundreds of dirges about the fall of Jerusalem, chanted on the 9th of Av, the date commemorating the destruction of the temple. Life in exile is dangerous for the Jew. Temptations abound. The surrounding environment beckons. There are fears of licentiousness, debauchery, idle pursuits, and enticing music accompanying all. What is to be done? The Jews who so enjoyed this music borrowed these melodies, adding Hebrew words and new content, thus attracting the people and making the music more accessible and more acceptable. Suddenly, the messianic values that had nourished the Jews began to take on tangible dimensions, reaching a peak with the Balfour Declaration that raised hopes for imminent redemption. Zionism fired the imagination of Moroccan Jews, who perceived it as realization of the divine promise. More than 200,000 Jews left the scenes of their childhood, their homes, and all their earthly possessions, with no regrets whatsoever. They perceived immigration to Israel as the closing of a historic circle, a return to the ideal state that preceded exile, the fulfillment of the dream of redemption.
These people thrived on messianic yearnings and longings throughout their lives, for generations. When they came to Israel, they really believed they had come to an ideal land, to a land in which all their aspirations would come true. Reality struck them a mighty blow. There could be no harsher shattering of a dream.